Yo, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video. We appreciate you very much for being here. In this video, we're going to go over how progression works in New World, and then we're going to discuss maybe how progression can be improved upon a little bit as the game moves forward. So first, for those of you that don't really know, I'm going to explain to you how progression works in the game currently. That way we can have this discussion later on in the video. So in New World, you level up just like you do in a traditional MMO. As you gain a character level, you gain attribute points that can be put into strength, dex, intelligence, and so on. And then you have a separate progression for your weapons and for crafting. So the more you use a particular type of weapon, the more you level it up. And then once you level it up, you get to put a point into an ability, and the same goes for crafting. So that's kind of the general gist of how the progression system works in New World. And if you want more information on the details, we have a few articles on newworldfans.com that explain the progression system a little bit more in depth and how you allocate those attribution points. So I'd highly recommend going to check those out. But in this video, we really want to talk about kind of how the progression can be improved upon and some of the changes they've recently made. So in the December update, they made a couple of small tweaks to the progression in New World. So I'm going to read those off really fast, and we're going to kind of discuss one main topic here. So they adjusted the leveling curve from levels 1 through 10 to better match the pace of quests. They had the rested experience so that it now starts accumulating after 12 hours, increased from 8 and accrues at 2% per hour, which was decreased from 2.5. So they kind of nerfed rested experience so you don't progress from resting quite as fast. And then they reduced XP from PvP missions by 10%. So one of the things I want to talk about before we move on is Red, what do you think about New World reducing the XP that you receive from PvP missions by 10%?
So, I mean, as a PvP player, I don't like to see any decentralization of PvP content, but I hope that they're taking the game in a direction or in a manner that they're going to add more ways to progress experience-wise, because I think that's what the game really needs. You know, I think I would like to see them, and I think their plans are to add more content or more ways that allow you to progress your character.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like some of these changes they've made recently are just kind of pushing the length of time that it takes to level up. They're kind of making that a little bit longer, which I think is fine, because you want to feel, I think you want to feel invested in your character. If you level up too fast, I think it kind of waters down the experience. I think some of those are fine, but I do agree with you on the PvP side of things. So now let's talk about what they can do in the future to make progression feel better, and more importantly, what can they do to make progression feel better in the long run, to maintain players and to retain players, because that's really the key to having a successful MMO, is to retain players for a long period of time. And one of the complaints during the preview event was that it got a little stale, right? The quest that you had to do to progress in the game, and how you were progressing your character, how you were leveling up your skills and your abilities and your crafting, it kind of got a little stale. There wasn't a lot of depth to the quests. There wasn't a lot of depth to the faction missions that we did. It was very repeatable. So what can they do, Red, to make that experience more enjoyable as we progress in the game and level up? And how can they retain or help implement that progression to retain players for the long run?
So I think one of the main things is we look at how they're kind of slowing down progression, and really, if you're going to retain players in the game and slow down progression, you have to diversify the amount of content that the game has to level up. Because if you slow down progression and we're still repeating the same, 6 quests at a different quest hub, or how the PvP and the PvE type quests are, on a daily basis, you're basically running to these same locations over and over again. If that just continues to double like snowball, then they might be in a little bit of trouble as far as player retention, because no one likes to do the same thing over and over again. At the very least, because it seems like they're nerfing experience across the board, Bordy, not just in PvP quests, but in general. So I think we can only hope that, this is just a sign of them introducing more content that will help players level up.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is kind of the underlying issue that they have highlighted time and time again, is that there's just not enough content in the game. So hopefully in the future we'll get some big updates that address that issue and show that they are adding a ton of content to the game to help us through that progression. So I think some of the things they can do is add just a wider variety of quests. I know there's a ton of people who really enjoy quests. I think adding depth to those quests will help a lot. Adding some very interesting storylines to those quests, because let's face it, there wasn't a lot of very interesting like side quests. It was all like kind of fetch missions or go here, kill those, and then come back. And then even the faction missions you did were very boring. After a while, it was the same loop that you did over and over and over. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to if they want us to go quest, they're gonna have to figure out a way to make those quests a lot more interesting. And then hopefully that doesn't water down the PvP experience too much. And hopefully they make those the faction missions and that side of things a lot more interesting as well.
Well, really, dude, they can just basically not just the PvP quests on the board. They can add a PvP or like just a questing system in general that requires you to be flagged, right? That you know, just expanding upon that system in which you have to be like flagged or not flagged to do the quest. I think would be fine, man. And dude, one of the things is I think improving. You don't have to necessarily, and this is a different topic, I guess, but on the same relative one, is they can find ways like to incentivize PvP flagging that isn't just the quest, right? They could, improve upon the percentage of XP you got. So then technically, whatever content is in the game is still technically a PvP activity, because it doesn't make sense not to flag at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope they do implement things like that, and hopefully we'll see more ways to progress in the game, because one of my favorite parts of an MMO is the progression and the leveling up to get to in game, right? And then once you get to in game, it's a completely different ball game. But you want to have fun as you progress, and if you're not having fun and there's not interesting ways to gain experience and to progress your character, and if you're not feeling like there's progression happening as you go, a lot of times people will just quit. They'll give up on the game, and they won't make it to max level to experience in-game content. So hopefully they'll get it right, man. Hopefully they'll add us some stuff and some interesting ways to progress in the game. Red, you have anything else to add to the video, man? Any other comments or suggestions about progression?
No, and really, like I think again, it's a wait and see type of thing. I think they have a lot of things planned for us for progression. And, we don't want to pretend like this is a conclusive, video of any sorts. We know that they're working on the game and continuing to progress. They keep putting out updates monthly for us that show us what they're adding to the game. And I think the next one is going to be a big one as far as content goes. And I'm excited to see what they have for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. This is really just for discussion purposes. We by no means think that this is that the game is finished. We understand it's an alpha, and we do expect to see a lot of content from them, because so far the updates have been awesome.
They're killing it.
They are killing it so far, man. So I guess that about wraps this video up, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We just wanted to give you an update on progression. And for those of you that didn't know how you progress in New World, well, now you do. But thank you guys again for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell. We would appreciate that as well. If you like New World and want more New World content, we produce a lot of that here on the Studio Loot YouTube channel, as well as over on newworldfans.com. So make sure you go check that website out. But thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time.